Hi, my name is Angela Mwangi and this is Clean Money TV podcast brought to you by Avenue. And today we are going to talk about mental health, wellness and the condition that we are having recently, that is the COVID-19. And I am joined by my guest, Brian. So I'm going to give you an opportunity, Brian, to introduce yourself.
Yes.
And then we kick on to the topic of the day.
Thank you so much for having me, Angela.
Karibu.
For the viewers, my name is Brian Emmanuel. I'm a mental health advocate.
Yeah.
I'm a singer-songwriter, and I'm also an artist.
What is mental health?
So mental health is the degree of wellness, your psychological and your emotional well-being.
Okay.
And so many, most of the times people misinterpret that, and whenever people mention mental health, they think of mental illnesses.
Okay.
But when you think of mental health, it's just like your physical health. Because mental health has a spectrum. There is good mental health and there is bad mental health. So when you talk about mental health, think about the emotional and psychological well-being of a person.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's great. So with the happenings that we've had recently,
Yes.
since they said December, but for us we've started experiencing this much.
Yes.
I believe there are those people who, like everyone, I would just say that everyone has had this kind of anxiety, the feelings of not knowing what next. So I'm imagining someone who had that precondition, like someone who already had anxiety. I would like to know, how would we help them to be able to cope through this, or what could be the challenges that they may be facing this time and how they can be able to overcome them?
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a good question. And what the pandemic has caused, especially with the loss of jobs, and there's distance. The people are not even close to their family right now.
Yeah.
So with all these factors that are now a reality, you find that they are triggering some mental health problems like anxiety. Which is fueled by fear, because people unapata mtu anaogopa.
Okay.
Like, I'll lose my job, I've stayed for long, how will I pay my rent? So these fears slowly build up and build up the anxiety.
Okay.
And when the anxiety goes for a prolonged period, it leads to something else, like let's say depression. So the whole COVID-19 thing is a huge factor when it comes to mental health. Right now we're actually expecting the number of cases in terms of mental illnesses to spike, especially with depression and anxiety, because right now we're in a period of uncertainty, and it's a trigger. Like we've said, people are losing jobs. There are people who are also grieving because they have lost either their friends to the disease, either here or abroad, friends or family. What we can do about it is people understanding how to cope with the situation. And how to go about it on their daily lives in the current situation. And it's as simple as doing exercises every morning. It's not complicated. Avoiding such negative, the news, because those news are triggers.
Yeah, sure.
Every time you listen to the news and they're like, you found 100 more cases.
Yeah.
And then you realize it's an area where you were the same day, so you're there in your house, you're full of anxiety. So it's as simple as that, like avoiding such news that cause anxiety, that trigger anxiety. Also watching what you're eating.
How do you know that it's now going towards anxiety? And because it seems like there are those stages that it is beginning from just some kind of moods or feelings, then it's escalating to...
The thing is, mental illnesses, there are so many mental illnesses. There is schizophrenia, there is bipolar, there is borderline personality disorder, there is depression, there is anxiety. All those are mental illnesses, and each illness has different symptoms, but there are those symptoms that are similar to another mental illness. Just like when someone has an upper respiratory tract infection, he has pain in his chest. You might find the same thing with a person who has another form of cold. That there are those common symptoms like isolating yourself, changing sleeping patterns. You find that the person is not taking care of themselves. You notice that the person is a bit unkempt. And these are some of the signs that actually are associated mostly with depression. But they also might be a symptom of another illness. Maybe you've noticed the person is either, let's say, losing weight or gaining weight, talking too much.
And they don't normally talk too much.
They don't talk too much or not talking too much.
So Brian, how did you get into mental health and wanting to create that awareness of the mental wellness?
So my journey started when I was in high school. Because I have a lived experience with mental health. I was diagnosed with bipolar 2 disorder back in 2013, 2014 up. So that's when I got my diagnosis. And then last year I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder and borderline personality disorder. So the previous diagnosis wasn't correct. So last year after I went for another assessment and all that, they found that it wasn't bipolar, it was borderline personality disorder. So it started in high school. That's when it really got really bad. And it went from self-harming. I used to cut myself. From self-harming to suicide, attempting suicide.
And do you really know what it was that time, or?
No, I didn't know what was happening. I just had a lot of, I used to feel a lot of hate towards myself. At times I felt like I don't even deserve to breathe. Like I really hated myself. I hated everything around me, and it was triggered. Just like when I was talking about triggers, there are some triggers that led to that. And when I went to high school, that's when it blew. So it all started when I was in standard 1, standard 2. So we were coming with my parents from Nairobi back to Nyeri. And that time it was when matatu zilikuwa zinajazwa, mnajaa kwa matatu hadi kuna wase wanasimama kwa matatu. So this guy was seated next to my mom. He was like, this Jaisau, yende aliambia mom, asinaweza kushikia mtoto. And that's when that was the first time I was sexually, will you say assaulted? Yeah, let's use that. So the guy, the whole time we were traveling from Nairobi to Nyeri, he was inappropriately touching my genitals. And I remember I was so scared, I couldn't say anything. Even when I went home, I didn't mention anything about it. I think a few months later, I remember I witnessed a family friend. So there was this guy who was now our family friend, who came to our house, but my parents weren't in. So it was just my sister and I and our friends playing in the house. And so the guy was like, hey, and then nimchezea bedroom. He's an adult. We obeyed. We went and played in the bedroom. So deep down, I don't know what prompted me to go back to the sitting room. So I went back, and then I peeped through the door. The door was ajar, so I could peep through, and I could see him seated in the sitting room.
Yeah.
Then I saw my best friend's sister come into the room. Then he started touching her inappropriately.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I experienced that feeling of rage. And nilikuwa mdogo, but nilikuwa na hiyo hasira. And it made me feel like I don't trust men. Like I had kuna hiyo chuki nilikuwa now towards men. Even up to date, I'm more comfortable with interacting with ladies more than men, because I usually feel yes, I know you have to do things together.
Yeah.
But psychologically niko na reservations huko, niko like what are you planning, like you understand?
Yeah.
So the third time that happened, now I was in standard 5. So I remember we were looking for a house girl. So we went tukaenda huko ocha tukakam na house help. So she stayed with us for some time, nini. So it came to this point when she actually should make me do inappropriate things with her. So when I got to form 2, sa hapo ndo nilianza sa kujiumiza.
Okay,
and it started na kujigongesha kwa kitu juu ya kufeel rage.
Oh, okay. So it's rage ulikuwa na feel
towards myself.
Oh, okay.
Even if someone did something to me, I wouldn't react to them.
You'll say you're the one who's...
Yeah, I will walk and then I go somewhere.
Okay.
And then it will just come out and I'll just like punch a wall. I end up hurting my knuckles.
Okay.
So it went like that and got to a place where now I started cutting myself. And the cutting came as a result of I want to die so badly.
Okay.
But I don't have the guts to finish it.
Okay.
And then when I did it for the first time, it felt relieving.
Oh, the pain?
Yes, the pain felt so relieving. It made me feel I deserved it.
I really want to know, how are your classmates behaving at that time, or how are they responding? Were you harming yourself in their presence? Were you going to the dormitory or hiding yourself?
So the first thing, they didn't know.
Okay.
I kept it discreet for a very long time.
Okay.
But it got to a place I felt the need to kind of raise an alarm.
Or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the way I did it wasn't the right way.
Okay.
So that's when I started like doing it when someone is looking at me, or I do it in class and then leave a trail of blood. It was so dramatic, but when I look at it, I was subconsciously calling out for help.
Yeah.
But people reacted the other way around.
Oh my God.
So people started saying, I'm seeking attention. So I started doing alcohol in high school. As an attempt, my therapist told me it was nilikuwa jaribu kufit in.
Oh, okay, your time.
Because I was facing even rejection from people. Hadi saa zingine nikienda kucheza basketball with guys, they would kind of...
Oh, so you pick other habits now that will help you fit into with those
and it actually worked, but it was destructive because after when I did that, I was more violent towards myself.
Oh, okay.
I would go somewhere and be like nitajiumiza to like, because now the emotions don't have a limit, like in a blow up. I started misusing meds as an attempt to kill myself.
Oh my God.
I hanged myself severally in the storage room.
That is in school or
in high school? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's only one person who knew. Only one person who knew, and it's the person who found me.
Okay.
And I urged him, usiambia mtu, though it leaked out to some people.
This time the teachers, they don't even see like they
noticed
behaviors and signs.
They noticed this guy doesn't hatoangi sweater.
Okay.
Hata kukiwa na jua.
Okay.
This guy doesn't. take off his sweater.
Yeah.
And he was my Swahili teacher. So he came to class and he was like, hey, Mbudia, kwa nini utoi fulana? Utoi toa fulana.
Okay.
Nikakataa. And I became aggressive. I was like,
Okay.
this story. And then he became forceful, like kakuwa adamant, like toa. So I took off my sweater, nikabakisha hii sleeve peke yake.
Okay.
Kaniambia toa yote. It's like he knew, it's like someone told him. So when I took off my sweater, my wounds were exposed. Nikaenda home for 2 weeks.
Okay, so that is what made him send you away? Or?
Yeah, that's what led. I was actually supposed to be expelled. But the counselor, school counselor, Ali explained, sijui ni nini, I think that's the first time I heard the word depression.
Okay.
So I went home for 2 weeks. My dad is a pastor. Kaniombea, which is a good thing. When I look at that, yes, it didn't help much, but to some extent it did. Because each time I attempted suicide, I always came out alive. As much as prayers work, we shouldn't forget the medical part of it.
Yeah.
Because you have to keep those chemicals in your brain balanced for you to function to your full potential.
Okay.
Because let's say like bipolar, for example, bipolar is a mood disorder.
Okay.
So you can imagine your moods shifting, not drastically, but during periods. Like let's say you have a long period you're feeling depressed with no reason, or a certain period you're feeling so low for no particular reason, just because the chemicals in your brains are imbalanced.
Okay.
And when you look at borderline personality disorder, that's when someone's mood drastically shifts, like within a day. Like personally, within a day I can have so many. And I think you've noticed the same thing. When I came in, I'm a different person from. But the good thing is that the key thing is being aware, and being aware of such shifts is learning more about the
specific condition. Okay, actually I would like to understand in those different categories of the mental health, the way you said there's bipolar, there's another one, how do someone differentiate, or at least you mentioned those two, which are other maybe types, and do they all have to, someone has to take medication, or there are those that that doesn't necessarily needs medication? Okay,
let's take for example stress. Stress doesn't really need you to take medication. It needs, let's say, just do exercises, just do something that will help you just take a break from everything that's triggering the stress. So when you come to, let's take depression, the most common mental health problem in the world right now. So when you have depression, it goes without saying, like ukikuwa diagnosed kona depression, you will get antidepressants to suppress. So you have to go, let's say utaenda kwa counselor, a counselor cheki, maze ikitu enda ucheki psychologist akupea namba ya psychologist naangalia rada yako, and the psychologist like, okay, I've noticed this and this and that, so I'm going to refer you to a psychiatrist. So psychiatrist ndio ule sasa mwisho kabisa. So when you go to a psychiatrist, the psychiatrist ndio most of the times ndio anakuandikia hata dawa. Even psychologists do, but psychiatrist ndio anakuprescribia zile, you know, the dawa nini.
Maybe tell these people in the corporate, maybe you're an employer, how you can incorporate that, the kind of mental wellness in your structure and all that. Yeah, how would they handle that? Because someone could be having those kind of things, you're expected to do this, to deliver this and all that, but you see there has to be such kind of a consideration.
And there are ways in which you can incorporate mental health in in an office space, in a corporate setting.
Okay.
And that's by holding trainings
Okay.
or workshops which involve first, like let's say the key players, let's say like the boss, the managers.
Okay.
They first go for such trainings,
Yeah.
and then they learn about, because if they don't understand about mental health, you going to them telling them that mental health is so important for your company, don't grasp the idea. But when you teach them first, it will be able to trickle down or to the workers, because you'll be able to lay the foundation with the people at the top, then it trickles down or to the people who work under them.
Someone who is at home right now, there are those people who have lost their jobs. Someone maybe already had that anxiety, they had that challenge, and now how you can at least share tips or things that can at least help them manage it.
The best way to check on someone's mental well-being is by engaging them, because conversations save lives. If I didn't talk about what I was going through to my friend, who later who happened to have a friend who's a psychologist, I wouldn't be here with you. As much as you're far away from some friends, you have WhatsApp. It has WhatsApp video call. You can even call. Just take that step. Call mtu muulize tu, hey bro, uko aje? Sis, uko aje? How are you doing? Nini. And by the way they reply to you, you can tell something is off, if it's someone who you really know. And it's always good to ask twice. Namuuliza uko aje? Mnaongea. Si atahepa most likely. Then namuuliza niambie tu uko aje? Sasa una feel aje? And most of the times people tend to open up when you ask like again and again.
Yeah, sure.
But not too much, not again and again. Utakuwa irritating, utablokiwa. The other thing I mentioned is activities, finding hobbies. Right now, like for me right now, I've gone back to art. Nikiamka art na physical exercises asubuhi. Naamka nafanya physical exercises, labda kama aftendo naweza chukua sketch pad, naanza tu kuchora anything I feel like drawing, and then I just draw. And it helps me na stay away from the news.
It's like you're unplugging
unplugging from the negative energy and you plug into positive energy. So this period is, if you want to, it's a period where you can discover another side of yourself. So, and remember that you carry your own sunshine. And be happy.
Yeah, that's a good parting shot. Thank you very much, Brian. We are very happy to have had you and that conversation. It's really helpful.
Yes.
And I know people will be happy to receive that information.
This is Clean Money TV.